Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm George Conn with Scratch Golf Tips, and today we are going to be talking about the almighty 2-iron. We're going to go over the pros and cons of using the 2-iron and go into some of the specifics about who should be hitting a 2-iron and who may not benefit from the utilization of a 2-iron. So just to get right into it with the facts of a 2-iron. A 2-iron is about the lowest lofted club that you'll see in terms of an iron. I know that there are such things as 1-irons, but no one's really carried that since Jack Nicklaus in the 1960s. So the 2-iron would be the lowest lofted club that we still see with relative frequency. In terms of distance traveled with a good shot on this club, it's probably around comparable to a 5 wood or a 3 or 4 hybrid. The distance would be similar. This just comes in iron form. Depending on the manufacturer, it will be between 16 and 19 degrees with a little bit of variance in there. And you also may hear the 2-iron referred to as a driving iron. Now this club was the first ever set of irons I ever owned. It's a bit ancient. It's the Ping i2s, which for any golfer who is just getting into the game and needing a set of inexpensive irons that are reliable, I think the Ping i2 will forever and always be that set of irons for me. So I actually used this 2-iron when I was starting to golf because I couldn't hit a driver, and I'm talking about when I was, shooting in the hundreds, when I was probably a 30 handicap. I found a lot of solace in this club off the tee because I found it fairly easy to control compared to the driver. But since I've tailored my game more towards being better off the tee with my driver and 3-wood, I have retired the 2-iron for myself because it doesn't really fit what I need out of this type of club in my bag. That being said, let's talk about who will benefit from the utilization of a driving iron or the 2-iron. If you are a very good striker of the golf ball and you have a consistent striking pattern, meaning you're often in the center of the face, you don't hit a lot off the toe or the heel very often, this is a great club because in my opinion, when you hit the sweet spot on a driving iron, you'll get a better result. You'll get more control than if you hit the sweet spot on, say, a 3 or 4 hybrid. That being said, the con to this is the least forgiving golf club that I've ever played with. If you hit it just slightly off the toe or slightly off the heel, it's going to come out dead. You're not going to get the flight you want. You certainly won't get the distance you want. When compared to a hybrid, those clubs are meant to be super forgiving, right? If you hit it a little bit off the toe with a hybrid, you might not hit the perfect golf shot, but your result on mishits is going to be worlds better with a hybrid than with a driving iron. So the nature of this club certainly tends towards great ball strikers, generally people who will be a single-digit handicap or lower. That's not to say that if you're a 10.5 handicap, you cannot hit a 2-iron. That's not what I'm saying. There are some players who are, say, a 13 handicap, but excellent ball strikers with their irons. They just struggle around the greens perhaps, or they struggle off the tee. Then, if you think that your game is up to snuff with your long irons and your ball striking with them, it's certainly worth trying out. And I say worth trying out because you can try out a few different clubs. Obviously, you have a Titleist 2-iron, maybe from their AP iron set. That's going to perform and look very different than what Callaway offers with their Apex or their Rogue irons. And that will look very different than what TaylorMade makes, because TaylorMade actually makes a Gap R club, spelled GAPR, which is almost like an iron hybrid. It's not quite a hybrid, it's not quite an iron, so it's an iron hybrid, if you will. And a lot of people really like to turn to that club, and that has a very similar loft and very similar characteristics as the 2-iron. Another aspect of the 2-iron that could draw a lot of golfers to it is many people find irons much easier to shape and control the ball flight than they do with hybrids. I know personally, I find it much easier to control a fade and a draw with an iron than I do with a hybrid in my hands. So if you like to use this club off the tee and you know some courses you play, you need both ball flights, or if you like to hit this into par 5s where you want to be able to hit that high draw or the low fade, whatever it may be, I've always found for my game and the way that I swing the golf club that I can shape the ball better with this. That's not the case for everyone, but I know that a lot of people who love striking their iron solidly and who can do so consistently, they find it easier to shape these shots. So if that's something that you find important in your game, this is absolutely a club to look into. Finally, another pro to using a 2-iron, which I think a lot of people sometimes overlook, is naturally the 2-iron will will fly a lot lower than a 5 will, than a 4 hybrid will. This will naturally go a little bit lower. So I know that on social media, we all see these videos of beautiful stinger shots. Well, this almost naturally will hit a stinger shot. Unless you have it fairly in the front of your stance, this club will go low. It will roll out a lot. You won't get a ton of carry on it unless you, again, want to change that ball position to get that carry on it. But if you play in windy conditions, if you play on hard fairways, this club will fly low. It can fight the wind very well. And if you keep it low and you strike it well, you're obviously going to get rollout on those hard fairways. So that's a little bit of an idiosyncrasy of the club that, it depends on where you're playing. If you're playing in Florida, for instance, we don't have a terrible amount of wind, especially if you play in the morning. And a lot of the fairways, we get a decent amount of rain. And we also, we don't have the firmest fairways around. The Bermuda doesn't always get to be too firm. So if you're playing on St. Andrews every day, good for you first off, but you're going to have wind there. You're going to have firm fairways. This club could make more sense. And it's also worth noting that if you like your 2-iron, but you don't necessarily see yourself using it every day, and you have the funds available to do so, buy your 2-iron, maybe get it fit, and just swap it out of your club. If you're playing tournaments, if you're playing member guests, if you're playing on certain days, this club can absolutely be more valuable an asset to you than having a 3 hybrid in the bag. So you can own 15 clubs, you can only show up with 14, but you can certainly swap them out. There's no problem doing that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the 2-iron and your experiences with it. I know that a lot of people have really liked it. Tour pros, it used to be fairly popular 30 years ago. I know that Tiger had a 2-iron in his bag for a very long time. Rory has turned to it. A lot of players will turn to it for US Opens and the Opens because, as I said, you have firm fairways, you have a lot of wind. This is a great club to have in the bag. But please leave a comment down below your thoughts on the 2-iron. I read and reply to all comments on these videos. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it very much if you left a like rating. That helps do 2 things. One, it helps YouTube show this content to more people who will find it helpful. It also helps me see what type of content you are all enjoying so that I can cater future uploads to your needs. If you'd like to see more content from Scratch Golf Tips, feel free to subscribe to the channel and turn on your post notifications so that you're notified every time we post. We also have over 150 videos already on the channel, so we talk about everything in golf. We have swing analysis, player analysis, we have tips, drills, everything you want under the sun. Just go to our videos or go through our playlist tab to see what we already have uploaded. As always, thank you all very much for watching, play well, and take care.